it's difficult being an entrepreneur.
Yes.
It's difficult being a black entrepreneur.
It is.
It's twice as hard or 3 times or 10 times as hard being a black entrepreneur. And I can almost imagine how much
And then
it is
you're
being
a black
a woman entrepreneur.
entrepreneur.
That's like
a young black woman entrepreneur.
Hey, Bulelani Balabala here. Welcome to the Small Business Podcast. We bring you weekly information, practical skills, and mentorship from industry professionals. This podcast is powered by T, an initiative that has directly impacted over 50,000 plus small businesses nationwide. This podcast is for small business owners who want to start, run, and grow their business. Follow us on all our social media platforms. #JoinUs4T. Every Wednesday is a new podcast.
Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us. If you're joining us on YouTube, hello. If you're listening out on the podcast, if you're listening to this particular podcast on any of our streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcast, thank you so much, man. This is episode 29.
I like that.
Oh, man. And none better to join us for this particular. I had to hunt her down, and I think it's important for me to mention that.
Yeah.
Very busy, had to hunt her down, but I think we are very honored to have her on the platform. And I think just as an opener, if you're watching this video, feel free to subscribe, share with your friends, share with any other community of creatives and entrepreneurs that are out there who could learn from this amazing story. And I know for a fact that you'll definitely be disrupted. But the lady I've got in studio today needs zero introduction. So I'll just do a little bit. I mean, I think for me, and not even from the bio script, a lady I met a couple of years ago.
Yeah, many.
Dude, and you are meticulous in everything she does. Very sharp, well-spoken, and she knows how to move in a room of sharks.
Oh,
and I think that's one thing I notice about you, right? Like, you know how to spot opportunities. The moment you do, you know how to engage with, because I've seen her engage with, I won't even say the lowest of lowest, right? But I've seen her engage with different individuals,
yes.
From security guards to CEOs, from CEOs to business development managers, through marketing managers. And the relatability was consistent throughout the flow. And I think for me, there's a lot that if you're an entrepreneur, business owner, small business owner, there's a lot you can learn from how to maneuver, how to position yourself in the market, how to build your brand up, and how to take advantage of opportunities that are out there in the market. So without any further ado, let's all welcome today Candice Modiselle, an actress, an entrepreneur, an amazing speaker, an MC, voiceover artist. Dude, you are a creative house, a multiplicity of creative ideas, creative ingenuity. How are you today?
You are spoiling me. I think it's always so interesting to hear how people perceive you. I mean, it's quite easy for people to just read you off a piece of paper and go, okay, cool. This is what this person brings to the table according to their accolades, their credentials, and their biography on Instagram. It could be as simple as that, but the fact that you've spoken about it with such sincerity and such nostalgia as well, because you really do. When I just started off on radio, we'd met.
Yeah.
And gee whiz, I'm so humble. Thank you. I'm
No,
amazing
dude,
today.
I love your moves. It's amazing.
Thank
so
you,
Candice,
man.
I think just to give a bit of background, right? I think the story that most people might not know when they pick up your journey and your career and amazing things that you work on. Where's Candice from? And then was this always your dream, right? To be in front of the camera and do this amazing work that you're doing, or did you sort of have a different sort of dream and thoughts as you were growing up?
Oh, look, I reflect back on my life and I see how intentional God is and how intentional God has been over the years in terms of planting and sowing the seeds, because with each experience, each year, each layer and chapter of my life, there's been that seed being watered. Yeah. Johannesburg, South Africa. I don't have the Jim comes to Joburg story.
Yeah, the highest.
I don't have that. But I grew up in Orange Grove, Johannesburg. Lost my father in 1997, so Mama raised us on her lonesome, did an incredible, formidable job, 1997 till this very day. And I'd always been an entertainer. Obviously, without having the vocabulary to understand primarily what this industry is and what the career could possibly entail for me. But all I knew is that I loved standing in front of my family and entertaining them. I loved entertaining Mama, my two sisters, Buntle and Refila, respectively. And it was really just that infectious nature of just kind of allowing them to have a cathartic release through experiencing me. And I know now that there's a catharsis, and obviously that only comes from studying these things. But then it's just mom smiling, mom wateja, obviously there's the woes and the struggles and the difficulties of life, raising 2 girls on your own, 3 girls on your own. But then tugu, there you go, having this little human being that's always impersonating Usman Bani and reading from these magazines and, creating scripts out of them. So I didn't know that there was a career. Obviously, rather, we see from a distance that there's that life in that box called the television. Yeah. And you can create the work that we have the privilege of experiencing. But as far as understanding that journey, it only when I start off in the theatre space at the age of 10 did I go, okay, cool, we can marry the worlds. Lovely. We can start off with the theatre space. And then slowly but surely, as I was more exposed, more learned, more experienced, then I could make the calculated and sure decision about going into the entertainment industry. And here I am today.
And an exceptional job and for me, an exceptional job you've done in sort of positioning yourself. And I think just developing and growing yourself in that space, because I think you do it so meticulously. But now just let me in on a couple of things, right?
Yes.
Oftentimes creatives are considered to be, I think the archetype of a creative individual is one where I think they consider to be, you don't have a sense of urgency, you don't have a sense of time.
Oh yeah, we lack structure, we lack intention.
How do you work around that, right? Because I think if there's one thing I picked up from you is there's this level of entrepreneurial professionalism, right? So that comes with a sense of urgency, that comes with a sense of I'm there, I've got over 1 million people that follow me. I've got hundreds of millions of people that have watched my content around Africa, but I'm still going to put my hand on the pulse of interacting and engaging with human beings and not losing my head about it.
Look, I haven't always gotten it right, and I think I'm still finding my process and my method in terms of being able to integrate absolute professionalism in the space that is sometimes very inconsistent and unstable. I think I attribute where I am and the character that I show in my work to the diligence that was taught in home, Kohai already. I come from a home where excellence was preached, excellence was celebrated, excellence was encouraged, and it was also inspired in the home. So I really have literally give so much props and so much praise to my mom in terms of from a principal point of view, having then planted that in me and my sisters as well, because then I was able to go into this world and still have that character that was cultivated from a young age then filter into the world of entertainment. So anything that I do with a level of excellence. So it's not just entertainment and creativity, but everything that I do, I believe in diligence. I believe in honoring the moment, honoring the gift of the present moment. And like I said, I've fallen flat on my face because I lacked discipline. And that's the thing. I think, like what you said, it's the misconception about creatives is that, yes, we lack all these things because it's not rooted in discipline. And I think once you have the discipline, the diligence, and the desire for excellence without compromising the gift of the moment, that's when you get to be a lot more consistent and you understand. And again, it's also a thing where I've always believed that I am a product of the work that I put in. Someone out there is putting in 50% and getting double the reward. If I just put in my 100%, who knows what I'm capable of achieving? Yeah.
And I think, what were some of your early influences? So I asked this question on the backdrop of the thinking that says, we meet a lot of women. A lot of these amazing women are oftentimes not even decision makers, but oftentimes they're the one that craft the narrative, the direction that large corporates need to go. But it's often the males that take the credit, right? So there's almost lack of sort of confidence in taking your throne and taking charge of your thoughts and your ideas. So what sort of influenced you to be this super confident individual?
Again, I throw it back to my mother. I've seen the tenacity, the courage that she's embodied throughout our lives. It's not easy. It is a difficult task.
Yeah.
It is a heavy task to raise 3 children on your own, on one stream of income. We know now as entrepreneurs in a 2022 how difficult it is to navigate your way through life on one stream of income.
Yeah.
And simply when we're taking care of ourselves, let alone our families.
Yeah.
And it's been an impeccable ability for Black women, and I'm not one person to romanticize and celebrate struggle, but I really cannot fathom the Black woman's ability, especially the single mother's ability to stretch a rand.
Yeah, no.
A rand goes a long way when you are raising
long
kids
Yeah.
on your own. So I saw that quality in my mom, and it's not to say that, I parade her ability to endure struggle. I don't think strength is associated with your ability to endure pain and struggle, but I'd seen it in her, and if she was able to take the pain that she'd experienced and turn that into purpose, I could only be inspired. And by the same token, I then have gone into the world a lot more courageous, a lot more daring. My sisters as well, them too. Refile being Africa's first model with albinism, Buntle being one of first many's. I mean, as a choreographer, changing spaces and environments in an industry where, again, artists are seen as, and Refile as well, artists are seen as, I don't know if neurotic is the word, but they're seen as so blasé about what they do. But them too, excellence, and the courage that comes from that is something. It was absolutely infectious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, just let me in on this one, right? So here you are, you're developing this career, you breaking charts, you developing and building this amazing work. How then do you manage imposter syndrome, right? Because do you sort of still have moments where you sort of sit there and you pinch yourself, is this really me? Does it ever even go away? How do you work around that?
It happens a lot. I got asked this question in another interview. And the funny thing is, when I got asked that question, I was experiencing that imposter syndrome in real time. And you kind of give your most eloquent response, and that's what I did in that moment. But looking back on that interview, I don't think I represented myself as honestly as I could have, because I could have been like, with all due respect, I'm feeling it now, and it was in the company of 2 incredible women that are actresses and who've achieved so much in their career, in the years of their career, on a global but also particularly a Pan-African scale. And I sat there, and as much as I consider myself cool, a rising star, there's so much that I feel like I haven't achieved just as yet. And in sitting there in the company of these 2 women who, they're speaking back to, I did this blockbuster, I won this award, I did this, and I'm just like, I be doing stuff, I really be doing stuff. And it's not to invalidate the things that I've done and what I've achieved, but I think I felt that in that moment that I just wasn't sure if I was the right fit for that conversation. Though in hindsight, I understand primarily the positioning and why it was important that I was there, especially because I'm very vocal about the things that matter and conversation that people tend to be very fearful to have for a multitude of reasons. But I'm so grateful, and I honor the fact that looking at that conversation, I'm just like, damn, okay, cool. It's all right that you experience that. Look, and I think it's also at the daily process, how I deal with imposter syndrome, I go back to a lot of the sermons that I watch, because faith plays a very big part in my life. And imposter syndrome also comes from a place of fear. And there's no greater force that filters out fear than faith. And we need to grow accustomed to having daily practices that in the moment and in the interim, in the space of, boo, there is that imposter syndrome. Oh, there I am feeling inadequate. That we always bounce back and we start a day with fresh faith. That we start the day with acknowledging that, God, I don't know what challenges are ahead of me today, but please give me fresh faith and new faith so that I have the ability to make myself available to each and every moment in a way that I can represent myself the best way that I can. Because life comes with so many curveballs and challenges, including that which of imposter syndrome. So starting each day off, and that, I think, I'm so grateful that I have those practices so that whenever imposter syndrome does creep in, that I can lean on God in that moment and go, oh, here we are again. Father, listen, go ahead of me. Holy Spirit, do as you will, do as you must. And if I can't do it, not by my strength, but yours, I don't know what I'm doing. So, and that does happen. It does happen in a scene. It does happen in a moment where you just can't access you or your best you. And that's where that's for me. I step back and say, listen, Holy Spirit, you know better than I do. It's your will now. It's your will, God. And yeah, there's other things. I mean, therapy. There's many ways that I pivot in those moments. But I think that process has saved me in incredible ways.
Yeah, you're about to take me to another place. Rubber shake.
Shake. I know that's right.
That's another language for amazing. Mm-hmm. But now, just tell me. So, I mean, when I think what was 2 days ago, right? So I think the day you had said, no, cool, dude, I'm gonna come on this day. I commit. I went through your Insta, checked the pictures, and I think for me it was just such a picture perfect moment, right? And I think most of the time when I look at Candice, because one of the things that's a problem with, creatives like you, or creators or founders or visionaries like you, is that you are so good at doing what you do. You make it seem so easy. And in the moment of perceptiveness where I see it seeming so great, perfect and easy, I think that everything about you has come easy. I think there's nothing that goes wrong in your life. I think that everything almost works out. Is that the case? And of which I know it's not. How then have you dealt with rejection?
Bulelani. Sure. Again. So the same response, in terms of being able to pivot, and just kind of being rooted in my faith. And I'd mentioned this on one of the episodes on my YouTube channel, the 5-minute call. One of the last episodes was, it's not personal. And that's one thing that I've had to keep reminding myself. And sometimes it is personal. I mean, let's not act like some people ain't shady and people aren't trying to be gatekeepers in other people's lives. But I had to understand very prematurely, or quite early, and really tattoo and really set it into my heart and my spirit that a lot of the time it's really not personal. So I could audition for a commercial, I could audition for a series, and I don't get a call back. Maybe I don't get a call back. Maybe they don't respond, which again is the nature of our industry. You can go to audition, they're not going to send you a personal message on WhatsApp and say, hey doll, listen, you didn't get it because of ABCD. You just won't hear from them thereafter. So there's a lot of shooting at the air. You just don't know, or just like, you don't know, is it a boomerang or is it just a stick? Because if it's just a stick, it's just going to, but if it's a boomerang, it might come back. So you're just kind of shooting and hoping for the best. And you shoot in faith, you shoot in anticipation and hope and excitement for the moment. But where I am now, look, I'm also grateful to have so many affirming messages and affirming people in my life that when it does become overwhelming and I feel like I'm stuck. Because now I'm at a point now where if I don't get one job or if something doesn't work out, I'm just like, okay, cool. God, I understand. You've closed that door. Another one is opening. A bigger, a better one that's more and better aligned with where I'm supposed to be. And I take that and I accept that for what it is. As difficult as it is, I go, okay, it's fine. Let that window close because a door is opening. It is what it is. But there are moments where, like, I remember it may have been the beginning of last year, 2021, where it just felt like there was a stagnation. And I'm used to, I've been very blessed that since 2016, I've been working actively within the entertainment industry. But before the 2016 was a dry season from 2013. So back to back, auditions, commercials, series, soapies, telenovelas, APs. The doors were closed. And also, I think it's because I just didn't, and I've said it before many times, I didn't know who I was. I didn't understand who I was. I didn't know how to position myself. I was not shooting for or moving into the space of opportunities that are best aligned with me and aligned with who the person that I was and not the person who I thought I was. And that's a very difficult process. As an entrepreneur, you need to get real with yourself and you need to have conversations about even the things that you don't like. because those weaknesses can compromise your purpose.
Yeah.
So once you start having those conversations with yourself, you go, okay, cool. Rejection, it's not personal. What can I learn differently? What can I do differently? And the opportunities where you can have those conversations, then it creates room for you to say, okay, what can I do differently moving forward? Within our industry, it's just accepting it for what it is, saying, look, I'm going to move forward. And just finding acceptance, because rest assured, every single time where the doors have closed, where I felt I was stagnant, I realized that I was in hibernation and rest season. That I need to rest so that I can prepare for what's to come. And sure as anything, I could be in hibernation season for 4 weeks, only to have an explosion of 4 months.
Yeah, because I think intrinsically, that's how things strangely work out.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think when you're in that moment, it doesn't seem like it's going to work out. So maybe let me, not to throw us back into the sort of the mid or the height of this lockdown and the COVID-19, but I mean, at its height, this is what, level 5? You can't go anywhere,
5.
you can't do anything.
Banta.
You're an entertainer, you're a creative. How was that moment? Was it filled with anxiety?
Bruh, it was tough. It was tough for many reasons. So I mean, I was living at home at the time.
Yeah.
I'd had to come back from Cape Town because we were busy shooting Jive with the Netflix series, and then production had to come to a complete halt with a lot of uncertainty, because we can only hope that, okay, cool. If there was something that was definite and you go, okay, cool, no, we'll be back in 3 weeks, we'll be back in 3 months. There was complete uncertainty on a global scale, and not just the scale of this particular production. That's when we had to understand that this is bigger than us. A pandemic is innately global. It's a global problem, and no one knows what is going on. So in the midst of the uncertainty, actually, scary little story, or frustrating, I'd come back. It was the week before the 27th, so the week of the 20th. I had to pack my bags from Cape Town and come back to Johannesburg. I'm now staying at home with my eldest sister, Refule, and my mother. I fall ill, literally, the first day of lockdown level 5. When we went into that heavy lockdown, I think it was the 27th of March.
Yeah.
I fall ill. And I'd flown in, I think 2 days before. So I'd flown in, and now my throat is sore, my chest hurts, I feel sick, there's a lot going on. I go to the doctor. And again, because of the hysteria that was going around, everyone was like very hysterical in that moment. Or not in my moment, but just globally. We were seeing the videos that were circulating, the news. All you ever heard about was COVID-19.
Yeah.
And in me feeling sick, go to the doctor. And the doctor's like, you have COVID. And remember, we had like 1 case.
Yeah.
I think maybe by then.
Well, 5 or
We had like
something,
5,
yeah,
8
'cause
cases.
the
I think we had
guys,
we had about 8 cases. I could be wrong. And I'm just like, how did I contract this thing? He's like, and the doctor, no shade, no tea. I will not say anything negative about you. But in that moment, because the thing is, all in you, my chest hurts. I was feeling very weak. But now he checked my blood, checked my oxygen. I was perfectly fine. The only problem is that my chest was sore. Naturally, anything could be wrong with someone with a sore chest. But he's like, listen, let's just treat it as COVID. I'm going to give you all this medication. I get worse. My chest is sore. I'm now in absolute excruciating pain. And because there was a shortage of tests in the country at the time, remember, only if you had like comorbidities. That's one word I actually can't say.
Yeah.
The morbidities.
Yeah, cool.
If you had them other vulnerable things.
Yeah.
If you had those, or you had, or you were of age, you were an elder,
Yeah.
were you able
You're
to test?
high risk, yeah, or test.
You're high
yeah.
risk. So I, of course, didn't test. So it was just an assumption that Candice has COVID. Cool. Medication, which is highly acidic. I have ulcers.
Oh, that's
So
what
the
it
reason
is.
why I was in flames over here is because
Your
of
ulcers.
a gastric reflux.
Gastric reflux.
Acid reflux. I'm busy taking ACC 200. I'm taking all these I'm
if
taking 3 different effervescents 3 times a day. By day 3, I'm ready to explode. I was ready to I was sick. I was ready to explode. I go to the doctor. I go to another doctor. I go for a second opinion. And then he literally, like, he touches my stomach. And it felt like it was, like,
it's gonna,
like air, like a fire was about to just literally just escape from my throat. And he's like, oh, no. He's like, this is an acid reflux, and now you have way too much acid in your system. He's like, we have to do something. So, long story short, my COVID experience had already started off on the most dramatic notes. Very dramatic notes. And I was having to, thank you. I had to isolate automatically. And I'm just like, okay, I live with my mom and my sister. I can't give them COVID. It's because it's going to be tickets. I might die, and it's a problem. I did end up getting COVID though 3 months later.
Symptoms?
Loss of taste, flu. I had flu, loss of taste. I was weak as anything. I was exhausted. But yeah, no, generally COVID was not a fun time. COVID, it still isn't, because we still are living in a pandemic. But there was so much uncertainty, but...
Yeah, I guess we found better ways of...
We did, but
I guess ways of navigating and living in it.
Yeah, but also it just inspired innovation.
Yeah.
So much innovation. Yeah. Like, from creatives, all industries, but as creatives, we had to go, okay, guys, we're going digital now. And now you literally had to flow with the times, or you're going to get left behind.
Yeah. And I think that's, and that's the epitome of life, right? But now just let me in on this as well. I mean, you being someone who is in the position you're in, working with a lot of brands, a recognizable individual. When is exposure, being paid in exposure, bad? And when is it good?
Wait, Let I keep the exposure alone until exposure pays for my medical aid. Look, I still believe in brand collaborations, even if it means that, or rather, let me phrase it like this: I'm a woman of opportunity.
Yeah.
Sometimes the remuneration versus the opportunity may be a mismatch. Maybe they're aligned. Sometimes the opportunity outweighs how much they were willing to pay, or if they couldn't pay at all. So in terms of that, there have been moments where I've accepted something that was way below my rate, but I understood the brand affiliation and also the alignment. That's happened quite a number of times. I think also as an entertainer and as a craftsman in my industry, multidisciplinary artists all know that a lot of the time your craft isn't what pays you well. Your craft is not how you sustain yourself. It's the business opportunities you create around that do. So I understood that, listen, Candice, there's many spaces you need to realign, rebrand, reconfigure, and form new relationships. So early in my career, I was able to go, okay, cool, I'm willing to accept because I understand that alignment. Now, no, not as much. If you offer me exposure, I'm definitely saying no.
Yeah, definitely.
Because the reason why you came to me is because I'm exposed, no?
Of course.
I was exposed.
Yeah.
So you can't give me something that I already already have access to. So yeah, no, the exposure thing is tough. But when it comes to things like trade exchanges, I'm not saying I'm necessarily open to them. If I look at the value of that trade exchange, then perhaps. But I've been working long enough to also be able to say no, hey?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that there's power there, right? And I think the reason why I sort of asked this is sort of on the backdrop of, so I'm sure you've had a moment where you're like, okay, cool, that was a terrible sort of trade exchange or collaborative sort of initiative. And I think for me, do you have thoughts or basic bullet point thoughts in and around how, if I need to collaborate with someone, some of the things to consider?
I definitely do, and I'm so grateful that I have a team overall that can weigh these things out. I don't always look at the remuneration.
Yeah.
It's obviously a very big aspect, but like I said, I'm a woman of opportunity. But for example, is this authentic? It wouldn't make sense for me to suddenly take a job as a health expert. I'm not. I don't have the experience. I don't have the information. I don't have the knowledge. So I play within. I won't say I play within the field of my expertise, because I think I am also very broad in my thinking, and I'm also very multifaceted. But I also believe in what's authentic, because I want to do the job and the opportunity justice. So I'm able to then walk away from things that may not read as authentic. And I believe in, I think that's what's been such a successful thing for my career as well, or such a big ingredient in cooking up my career, is the fact that I want to be relatable, but also authentic in that relatability. So that's a very big thing. What else? Oh, there's so many things. So obviously the value. Where I am in my career now is relationship. So I'm very apprehensive when it comes to, okay, Candice, we just want you to post this once and. I'm like, okay, cool. How can we leverage off of this opportunity and grow in it? And I like to grow not only like especially where opportunities are concerned, I look at, okay, cool. I'm glad that I was a host here. How can I direct next year? I'm grateful that I came through as a speaker. How can I produce this for you guys moving forward? So it's spaces and things that nurture and grow the craft and the hunger that I have to continuously evolve, and my desire for self-mastering. I'm also very keen with that. What else? There's a lot. I think I'm...
Yeah,
but that's the real gist of it. Those are the things that I'm more willing to say yes to. But I also do research the brands. I remember there was a brand that reached out to me. Check was heavy. The check was a bag, but they had a new skincare product. But then I searched the brand, cool, and I searched. I did my research, only to find that they are infamous for and have a very, not bad reputation per se, but they've been in a little bit of hot water regarding skin lightening. And if something is not aligned with, and I'm not saying I don't believe in skin lightening, baby, do what makes you happy, but I never want to be associated with things where they've been in hot fire or they've been in hot water So I'm also the kind of person to go and do that, to see if there's some bad publicity around the particular brand, because this thing backfires, and we know how cancel culture is set up. Yeah. You're associated with something, and all of a sudden you're the one catching the L. You're catching L's because of other people.
For something that's got nothing to do with you.
I'm trying to do that.
I guess because you didn't do a bit of research, but it's got nothing to do with you.
Exactly. And the thing is, you're representing the brand, you're representing the things you know about the brand, and not everything that they have concealed.
You know what I love, right, is I think in what you sort of said, right, you never look at an opportunity just for what it is, but in every opportunity you find ways of launching yourself. And I think that's, playing the long game, which is super essential, right?
Everything is a springboard.
Now, another challenge for creatives, and just let us know how you worked around this, is pricing. Because Candice is uniquely Candice.
Yes.
There will never be another Candice.
At all.
There might be another actress, but never a Candice, because you bring a level of flair, character, and charisma to whatever you work on. Okay, maybe let me ask this question this way. Has there ever been a moment where you said yes to a price and you undercharged yourself, only to realize what the budget was later and you shot yourself in the foot?
Many times. More times than you can imagine. And I think it's a big issue when it comes to not asking the right questions, or not being in the position to ask the right questions, and the budget conversation. I'm at a point now where I'm like, I'm sorry that you don't have a budget, but I'm not going to compromise myself, unless it is we're building a relationship and we can commit to that in the near future we're going to do A, B, C, D. Because then also comes the empty promises. Yeah, we know we only have this much, but listen, we're going to keep you in our books. We're going to keep you on our database. We've got your number. We've got your email. Please just post this. Honey, now your content is on my page. My content is on your page. and I'm walking away with a pocket full of couple of thousands and a lot of regret.
Yeah.
And I don't really like it. Definitely has happened for sure. And it's also happened primarily because, there's also some people that are willing to embezzle funds and that are not transparent about what the real budget is. So, obviously there is a tier. So there's the budget. Here's the person that's liaising with you according to what the budget is. The person liaising is not truthful, nor are they ethical. They say, listen, Candice, we only have this much, when in actual fact what you charge, they have way more, and it's because they just wanted to embezzle the funds.
They want to siphon what's in between,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's the frustrating thing, right? I think as an entrepreneur, you'd know it. Brown envelopes being asked around all over. And how do you, how it's difficult being an entrepreneur.
Yes.
It's difficult being a black entrepreneur.
It is.
It's twice as hard, or 3 times or 10 times as hard being a black entrepreneur. And I can almost imagine how much
And then
it is
you're
being
a black
woman entrepreneur. That's like
a young black woman entrepreneur.
That's how, so I'll be very blunt. How have you dealt with unsolicited sexual advances as a black entrepreneur? Because you get the positions everywhere.
Yep.
You're a beautiful, intelligent, creative. How have you navigated that? Because I ask this question for the benefit of all the amazing ladies that are watching this, because they want their dream, but sometimes their dream is being compromised by the fact that there is just some not smart guy, idiot, who's standing in front of their dream, not because they're not deserving, but wanting something beyond what is on the table.
As you mentioned, I believe in playing the long game.
Yeah.
And it's funny enough, I was having a conversation with my sister yesterday. And, how you get something is how you should expect to keep it, right? If I work on credibility, that is my winning formula. If hard work is the key ingredient, that is the winning recipe.
Yeah.
If all the other things, if you don't trust your work, if you don't trust the integrity of what you do, if you don't trust your idea, if you don't trust your vision, and I'm not even going to be the ableist and go, you can do it. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes all the odds are stacked up against you. The doors are closing. The gatekeepers are out in their numbers, and it's difficult. And as an entrepreneur, it is exceptionally difficult. What I do not, or what I never want to endorse, or the narrative I never want to be part of, is compromising who you are in purpose of the vision. Because the minute you start doing that, you lose the essence of what God has given you. You lose it. God will never take you to a place and never give you a vision that, one, your character needs to be able to sustain that. His grace can carry you through it. Anything else that you're having to do in that moment, obviously hard work is part and parcel, discipline, all the things we've spoken about, diligence, excellence, learning. Being a scholar is one of the greatest things you can be. Being constantly open to learning, being malleable, flexibility of mind, those are such key, and I think they're such integral characteristics that one can have as an entrepreneur. Once you start doing anything outside of that to feed the beast of entrepreneurial excellence, then it's not true to the vision. And you need to move, or you need to pivot. Because if an opportunity requires you to give all of that and yourself, it's too expensive.
Yeah.
It's way too expensive. And it's difficult. And I completely understand. Some people may misunderstand what I'm saying, but anything that requires you to pay with your peace is an expensive trade, and a trade that isn't worth it. It's not worth the dream. It's not worth the vision.
I was taking notes. Shout that. Sure. And I think for me, right, that's super amazing. And I think the reason why it's sort of key and amazing at the very same time is because it requires a lot of discipline. Right.
But you know what it also requires, which is something that women haven't always been afforded in the world of work and the world in general? Boundaries. We live in a world that has continuously endorsed this thinking that a woman's worth is rooted in how available she is to everyone else, and she is secondary to that. So many a time we haven't been given the confidence, the vocabulary, the space and permission to set boundaries. Setting boundaries is not a real thing in the world of a woman. And believing that my no matters, and it's not about the no mattering. It's first believing in my no. Because if your no comes with a tremble in your voice, if a no comes with it's following comma but, if a no thank you. My no thank you has a full stop at the end of it.
Yeah.
It needs no justification.
Yeah.
It doesn't need parenthesis. It needs none of that. No. I do not need to qualify that statement. No thank you. And again, if you trust the vision, you walk away from that opportunity. But because we haven't lived in spaces where there's power in being assertive, because once you're assertive, you're difficult. She's difficult to work with. Yeah, she's a bit of a diva, hey? Yeah. Then all those narratives start to happen because men simply cannot stand a woman who understands the power of her no.
No, and I think as a man, I agree with you because I relate with a lot of other men. And I think, and that's very true. And I think, which is why if you're a man watching this, I think kind of question yourself. I think on this, because I'm also listening to this, also, taking it in, just questioning myself, because are we creating environments in entrepreneurship in our businesses with our employees, our collaborators, our business partners, our partners, for them to thrive and for them to be able to achieve what they need to achieve? And I think that's such an important question. So ask yourself that. But are you wearing your pieces?
Of course. I'm wearing Selle Jewellery on my nose. I'm only wearing the Selle Jewellery nose piece.
Dude, you're the founder of Selle.
I am the founder of my jewelry
God.
company. I am.
Dude, and I find that to be very remarkable. But take us through that journey, right? But before you take us through the journey of why Selle over everything else that you could have potentially done.
Yes.
How has it been, right? So you're this amazing figure, right? And then on the other side is entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurship is grafting. Entrepreneurship doesn't care about. It doesn't play. It's like, what? Okay, cool. You won that award? No, we don't care. Just come here and work.
Yes.
So how have you adjusted to that, right? I think the transition, the constant transitioning between the two and balancing your outward craft, right, and being an amazing actress and speaker, voiceover artist, and being a business owner.
Look, I've always had a gift of entrepreneurship, not only an interest, but I've always been very, very business minded. From high school already, there were these little bits and pieces. Obviously there's primary school. There's like the fair for the week. There's like entrepreneurship week. There's all that kind of stuff, and I love that. I really love that. Bake sales, cake sales. I thoroughly love that. In high school, I started my very first business. It was called Grand Prodigy. It was an association with one of these financial institutions, and they assisted a couple of companies that were started off by 16-year-olds. So all of us, we were grade 10 learners. We all had the opportunity to start our own businesses. I had a t-shirt printing company. Oh, wow. So it was t-shirt customizing, t-shirt printing. And we did exceptionally well. We didn't run it for that long because it was just a program. And then we had the decision whether we wanted to liquidate our business, and we decided to because we were going to grade 11. And if you know grade 11, it's very demanding. So we liquidated the company, obviously shared our dividends thereafter, and Bob's your uncle. Then Buseta happened at a later stage. But what I also want to acknowledge is the fact that I think business, I'm blessed to have had business one of my subjects in high school, so that the world of business was never out of touch for me. But then even in varsity, so one of my majors was PAM, which performance arts management, which looks at the business of the arts, not to intricate detail because only 2 years of my degree, and there's so much that we can explore. But when I went into the world of work as an artist, I viewed myself as a business. So Candice is an artist, sure, but she's a business as well. And I'm a social entrepreneur that manages the business that is Candice Modiselle. So I treat myself like a business. And transitioning into Selle was so simple and so not easy. I will not say none of it was easy, but it was an authentic transitioning because Selle, first being the end of my surname, Modiselle, Selle is an extension of who I already am. So starting a business that is true to someone's character is one of the greatest things, and one of the greatest things I decided to do.
And I mean, okay, yeah, just no, we continue. We no pause here. Who's that? Teen. I don't even know. I don't know, guys. We're distracted by this guy. I don't even know who this guy is. I don't even know. But now, Candice, just give me an idea in and around. So I think before I go into the nuts and bolts of that particular business, what does Selle do? Because you're wearing it.
Yes,
you guys can see it. It's visual. It's there. It's practical.
And quite
it looks
simple.
great.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to show you guys. So, boom. Your nose ring on, nose ring off, nose ring back on. So
hold up. No hole.
There's no hole. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
Oh, wow.
Nothing. No hole, nothing. So I had my nose pierced back when I was 21. Got home and I said, Mom, I'm piercing my nose, and rightfully so that I did do that after my 21st birthday. And then shortly thereafter, I joined Generations The Legacy. The big issue is, as an actress, having a piercing that is not aligned with your the character that you're playing is quite difficult. So I had to keep removing the nose ring because I was playing a 16-year-old. I know 16-year-olds be out here sometimes having nose rings and stuff, but my character could not. So I'd remove the nose ring, and then, it becomes septic at some point. It becomes a little bit problematic. Yeah. So I was like, okay, cool. Let me accept that I cannot have this nose ring. Eventually the hole closed. But I didn't want to part ways with the real me, and the real me wears nose rings. So I was able to find and with some real hunting, I was able to find a couple of nice-ish nose rings, or I would use a sleeper earring, an earring, and I would let that double up as a little nose ring clip-on. Years later, my very good friend in Candices reached out to me, and he was like, bro, no, but I must answer your first question because I feel like
go.
I already know I'm gonna answer your next question. Yeah. But Selle Jewellery, okay, I'm gonna tell the whole story then. He reached out to me. He's like, bro, you've been meaning to go into business. I don't know why you're sleeping on yourself. He's known me since my vet days, and he's like, what are you interested in? And it dawned on me that I love jewelry. I've always loved jewelry, and I realized there's a huge gap in the market because there's so many young professionals, there's teenagers who live in homes where a piercing? Never. And there's so many restrictions around wanting to pierce your nose or certain pieces of jewelry that may not be deemed appropriate for a particular environment, but you still want the luxury of being able to do that and have really cute options. So I then said to him, I really want to go into costume jewelry. I want to go into these temporary faux jewelry business. And, we looked at a variety of options, samples, all kinds of things. And then Selle was born. So, we really want to keep expanding. And said, and I'll be smart because I brought my box. Yes. I really did bring a box. It's so cute. Because I know we're talking business. So I brought my box. You can see how cute it is. It really is cute.
Oh, wow.
It's a cute little Selle box.
Oh, wow. That looks really cute.
Which it really is cute, no?
Nicely branded as well.
I realized that there actually aren't any pieces in here. But, But then it literally says Selle right over there. This is that. And then that's the piece that I'm wearing. And then that's... there we've got this, we've got the card as well. Still a brand new baby, so we're always finding new ways to continuously innovate, grow, kind of sharpen and varnish our brand. But one of my favorite things is that I always say Selle Jewellery with Grace, because Grace is my mom's name. So Modiselle, Selle Jewellery with Grace. So we start off with the costume jewelry business, temporary, no piercing, no pain, no permanence, for all the individuals. And I say individuals because it's not just restricted to women. But yeah, you can actually have a look. Here's the box and the little box.
Sure, this looks really great, right? This is foil branding.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's like
no, it is.
It's like proper
Been
branding.
Branding for 17 years of my life. This is really nice.
Thank you.
Congrats for starting.
Thank you. And that's honestly always the hardest part.
Yeah.
For every entrepreneur, the hardest part is starting.
Yeah, because I think beyond that, then you can maneuver in what you in whatever it is that you want to maneuver in and build your story. I think 2-3 questions, then we shut it down, right?
No.
So a lot of entrepreneurs, right? Because you constantly put in front of individuals to sell your idea, to pitch, to sell your story, to sell your brand and your service. Now, I believe you do this well, right? And I guess that's the power of storytelling. But how important, in your view, is storytelling? From a point of encouragement to the entrepreneurs out there, so that they consistently polish their elevator pitches, their sales pitches, and they fuse it into their story so that it lines up with their brand.
So what attributes or what tips can I give?
Yeah, what tips can you give?
I already mentioned it. Remain a scholar. One of the best things you could always do, flexibility of mind, remaining a scholar, remain teachable. I think a lot of people are so passionate and, they are so attached to and they're married to a particular idea that they don't allow themselves to evolve continuously. I believe in what's it called? It's the art of idea. The art of idea is constantly evolving. So give yourself new opportunities. And in the wake of COVID, people also realize that to constantly innovate, and to be malleable, to be as malleable as possible. I think also in terms of your business is to believe in your business first.
Yeah.
No one is trying to buy into an idea that you don't buy into. Knowing your why is also an important thing. I think in the life and times of social media, some people don't or haven't cultivated a genuine sense of a why because people like fame, clout, they want to pop on social media. So I'm going to become an entrepreneur because I want to drive said car. I want to do this. So know your why. There's so much power in knowing your why and understanding your why. Because once you can start from there and you can start from the vision, it's one of the best things. It's always a very difficult conversation that we have with ourselves, but be very mindful of your circle. You are, and people say, I've heard in many talks and many conversations where they say, you are a product of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. You really are.
Yeah.
Because people and time means conversation. Conversation means thinking, thought process. And all of those things, it means like your approach to your work, your approach to your passions, your approach to your dreams. How you approach these things is quite infectious. And very similarly, how the people around you approach and handle your vision, handle your fire, also is infectious. So that's always a very hard conversation that we have with ourselves, not understanding that, hey, some people may not have your best interest at heart, and you need to be in the company of people who inspire you. You need to be in the company of people that inspire your vision, in the company of people that can be honest with you and can hold you accountable. That's a difficult process, because sometimes I'm going to be with the people that we popping bottles with, and we're seeing on social media with, and people that make you feel seen but aren't fueling the support. Because you know what the problem is then? When you post on social media, okay guys, I'm launching this on Friday. Where are those people now?
Yeah.
But now the minute you say I made 100,000 off of that launch, they'd be like, hey, let's rock. We see you, baby. We see you shine. We see you shining, baby.
Yeah.
And that's very difficult. Yeah. That's a very difficult thing.
So I think on the back of that, how then did you then get to a point where you decided who you're gonna promote, demote, and delete in your life? Have you ever had to delete people?
I still be deleting people. And it's not deleting people. It's not like I'm gonna cut y'all off. Look, an expired friendship is not beef. There's no resentment that we need in that moment. I think it's also important to communicate those things and to say, listen, I see where I am, I see where you are, I don't think we're walking the same path, and we have to accept that. But there definitely have been people. I've had to fire publicists because I'm very objective, right?
Yeah.
And I look at the work I'm putting in. I look at the work that I'm putting in daily. It needs to match. Why is it, or why? Come on. So there's things like that. And again, if you are not feeding and fueling the growth, the process, and the promise and potential of the woman that I am, surely you don't need to be in my life. Because once again, you're too expensive.
Sure.
Keeping you around, too expensive.
If you had an opportunity to talk to the younger you, I mean, you're already, 16 or 14 or something?
I'm 13.
Good genes, darling. Good genes.
I'll be 13.
If you had the opportunity to talk to the younger Candice and offer her advice, I guess, on what to do more of or what to do less of, what would you say to her?
Younger Candice. Ooh, is this in relation to what?
No, just
in relation to life. I'd say to younger Candice, and the thing is, there's like 10,000 things.
Yeah.
There's 10,000 things, but in the most concise way, it's okay to walk away from places and spaces where you don't feel valued and celebrated. I think younger Candice found so much purpose in being validated by people and environments at her own expense. But I think now, looking back at who she was, say no more. Say no more. Actually, I have it. I would say to the younger Candice, be present.
Yeah.
Be present. A lot of us are always trying to move on to the next. We either move on to the next or living so deeply in hindsight that we miss literally the gift of the present. And then we kind of fast forward 3 weeks later, we don't remember what happened that Monday. Or 3 years later, and you go, I won all these awards and I don't even remember what that moment felt like because
you were never present.
You were never present. So be present.
Yeah, it's a sickness.
I'm pretty sure you have those moments, right?
From that sickness.
Because you
preaching to the choir. Jesus, I don't know. I'm struggling with that. I don't know. Frankly, this is one of the things that I struggle with. Right.
But I think, was it Oprah? I can't remember. It might have been Oprah, Deepak Chopra, or I think it was Eckhart Tolle. And sometimes the trick is just breathing. Being conscious of your breath in that moment. If you feel like you're not being present, or just in random moments, go, have a moment to breathe, because breathing calls you into the moment.
Yeah,
you're inevitably present because we're not conscious of our breathing. We're never conscious of our breathing. We breathe, or when it feels like we can't breathe, then we're more conscious of our breathing. But to just take a breath, unclench your jaw. Take a breath, unclench your jaw.
Dude, you know what? Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Tell us what you think in the comment section. We've got all her info. We've got info on her jewellery business, right? Selle
Jewellery.
So follow them, but more than following them, right? Buy. And also what I always say to individuals and entrepreneurs out there, and just anyone in general, if you can't buy, do the most powerful thing you could potentially do. Share the page with other people out there, because let's proudly develop and create our own products and support our own products and be proud of our own products. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Episode 29, Candice.
Thank you, Bulelani.
Thank you so much, man.
That's it for today. If you like that podcast, show us some love and share it with your network. Once again, follow us on all of our social media platforms, #JoinUsForTea, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Shout out to Joe Public for making this possible. Remember, Sisonke Rikaufela and Foster Njengomzegezege.